Dear students, in this class I am going to start a new lesson, that is gardener, and we'll read about first the writer and translator. It is written by P. Lankesh. Time period is 1935 and 2000. Lankesh is an Indian writer and journalist, and well-known journalist who wrote in Kannada. After graduating with an honors degree in English from Central College at Bengaluru, he completed his Master of Arts in English from Maharaja College, Mysore. P. Lankesh's first work was Kereya Neeranu Kerege Challi. So, first work, Kannada writer. A collection of short stories published in 1963. This was followed by several collections of short stories and poetry, 3 novels, critical essays, translations, including Charles Baudelaire's Les Fleurs du Mal, Oedipus Rex and Sophocles' Antigone, as well as several plays and films. Here he wrote many short stories, poetry, 3 novels and critical essays, even translations, including Charles Baudelaire's Les Fleurs du Mal, Oedipus Rex and Sophocles' Antigone, as well as several plays and films. In 1976, film called Pallavi, a cinematic narration, its explanation, told from the female protagonist, main character, protagonist's point of view, and based on his novel Biruku. It is based on Pallavi film is based on his novel Biruku. Won India's National Award for Best Direction. So Lankesh, and Lankesh was known for his Lankesh Patrike, and we had enjoyed that paper. And as it is in that Kannada translated into English by H.S. Raghavendra Rao, a retired professor of Kannada. H.S. Raghavendra Rao, a retired professor of Kannada. He has worked at National College, Jayanagar, Bangalore, Kannada University, Hampi, and Central Institute of Indian Languages, Mysore. He is a well-known literary critic and translator. He published more than 10 works of literary criticism, translated works of Art of Loving, Eric Fromm, This Matter of Culture, Jiddu Krishnamurti, Iruvegalu, Art of Loving, then This Matter of Culture, and Iruvegalu, Oriya short stories, Bala Medhavi, German short stories, Kappu Kavite, 100 poems from Africa, Manju, Mannu, Mauna, Koza, and Hattu Dikkina Belaku. He is a recipient of many prestigious awards. H.S. Raghavendra Rao, he has published more than 10 works of literary criticism, translated works, Art of Loving, This Matter of Culture, Iruvegalu, Bala Medhavi, Kappu Kavite, and Manju, Mannu, Mauna, and Hattu Dikkina Belaku. It is about this writer and translator. And now, a gardener. The duty of a gardener is to maintain neatness and cleanliness, and here in that garden, regarding this topic, pre-reading activity is given. We will read that pre-reading activity also. Is the difference between competition and rivalry. There should be competition. We say we have to compete, but we should not have the sense of rivalry. Where enmity mixed with competition, it is called rivalry. In competition, there we won't see any enmity, hatredness. There must be healthy competition. But when it is supported by hatredness and enmity, and it paves way for rivalry. Okay. And then can you think of different factors that motivate human beings to lead their life? There are different motivating factors. All human beings are motivated by self or by external source. There must be a motivation, and that motivates human beings to lead their life. There are different factors. In this lesson, we read about this gardener, how or on what condition or what purpose he has become a gardener. We see many leaders, some social workers, or all the many individuals. There we see a motivating factor which motivates, which instigates, which influences, which leads our life. That is why somewhere we see changes in our own life by to be motivated by something. And here in this lesson we read about a person, an old aged person, and he speaks about everything. He speaks about work, he speaks about life, he speaks about Russia, America, and moreover he speaks in this lesson about entity and non-entity. Entity and non-entity. We'll understand what we are when we become or when we reach the phase of non-entity, not with entity. Entity is we can see her, non-entity we can feel. So that is why the gardener, as written by P. Lankesh, will start this lesson today. Elaboration can only impoverish this account and make it less authentic. I conceived this story in a flash. It has its genesis in my chance encounter with an old man. He was standing in a coconut grove near Chennarayapatna. His eyes were suffused with strange memories and native intelligence. He stood there, a tall figure, hair gone grey, long beak-like nose, strong muscular arms. In one hand, a spade used to tend coconut trees. A newspaper is tucked under his arm. He was a laborer, overseer, and philosopher, all rolled into one. See the brief explanation of that. A gardener. Elaboration in the sense explanation. More explanation. Elaboration means explanation. Explanation can impoverish. Impoverish means make poor. Sometimes we explain more, it becomes an artificial. We should not explain unnecessarily. So things should be realized, understood the same. If we go on explaining a person more and more, we feel that nothing. So that is why P. Lankesh says that elaboration can only impoverish. If I go on explaining regarding that person, so it makes poor this account. It means that becomes nothing. So impoverish and account make it less authentic. It becomes less authentic. There is no reality. Authentic in the sense the real one. The fact. Okay. That is why I don't want to explain more about this authenticity. Need not explain about someone or something. Just realize and assess yourself. Need not explain. More explanation leads to more confusion concerned with a few things. I conceived, conceived means I got this one here. I conceived this story in a flash. I got this story in a flash. It has its origin, Genesis in the sense, origin in my chance encounter, a chance meeting with an old man, not purposeful meeting or any other like that. Chance encounter, a chance meeting with an old man. That is why it has its genesis, its birth in my chance encounter with an old man. He is speaking about old man. He was standing in a coconut grove near Chandarayapatna. So coconut grove here. Her gardener in a coconut grove, coconut plantation. His eyes were suffused with strange memories. Her eyes were suffused. But suffused means covered. Suffused means covered. Covered with strange memories. If we look into the eyes, as that is why in my previous class I said regarding eyes, here they tell the feel of an individual or the intention of an individual or the what person he is. It is explained by the eyes. So his eyes were suffused, covered with strange memories, not normal. And native intelligence, eyes, language of eye. So it was very powerful over there. He stood there in that coconut grove, a tall figure, a tall personality, hair gone grey, it's a grey colored hair, long beak like nose and strong muscular arm, because he has worked in the farm, strong muscular arms. In one hand a spade is there, an agricultural utensil which is used to tend coconut trees and all these. Okay, while watering those trees we use this spade. A spade used to tend coconut trees. A newspaper in one hand, spade and a newspaper tucked under his arm. See, newspaper and spade. It means we can see vivid or multifaceted personality of this old man. Okay, he was a laborer. See here first, he was a laborer. He's a worker working on the farm. Overseer, supervisor. Overseer in the sense a supervisor, the man who was supervising that garden, and philosopher. How come this is possible? A farmer becomes philosopher? See here, if you do our work with honesty or on the honest lines, being faithful to the field, wherever or whichever we work, the philosopher and laborer, overseer and philosopher, all three characters are rolled into one, molded in the form of one. Here he is introducing that character. And next it is, further he explains regarding the purpose. He came to this garden one day. After walking hundreds of miles, he was in search of work. That is why he came to this garden one day after walking hundreds of miles. The owner of this plantation needed a person exactly like him. A few words were exchanged. The old man stayed on. He was really useful. He was well versed in agriculture and could understand the problems of the workers. The petty thefts in the garden came to an end. The income from the garden improved dramatically. There was a perceptible change in the lifestyle of the owner. The plantation expanded, but the owner became lethargic and shied away from hard work. His wife found all this very strange. She found it hard to decide whether the old man's arrival was for the better or for the worse. Her husband's wealth and social prestige had risen higher. He acquired a number of friends in the next town and equal number in his own village. Then he came to this garden one day. So after walking hundreds of miles, he reached that garden, particular garden, and actually the owner of that plantation was also in need of a person exactly like him, a responsible person to look after his garden, a laborer, a worker. A few words, so a bit discussion took place between that gardener and the owner. Words exchanged, they discussed. The man stayed on. He started to work. He started to work, stayed on. He was real, actually, that the experienced person. He was very well useful. He was well versed, very well versed in agriculture. He knows each and everything of the agriculture. He knows everything about agriculture and could understand the problems of workers. He could understand the problems of workers as well as how to improve the income and also moreover it is yield. The petty thefts means the small thefts in the garden came to an end. So the small silly thefts in the garden came to an end. It means he controlled everything. He took all the her home. He took all the workers in his confidence. He started to work on the farm. Petty thefts in the garden came to an end. The income from the garden improved dramatically. The income from the garden improved dramatically means suddenly. Suddenly here. It means a big change. Hence, there was a perceptible, however, income increased. However, income of it is not the income of the gardener, it is the income of the owner. So, because of the work done by this gardener with the workers, as he took all the workers in his confidence, the income increased. Income increased automatically. There was a perceptible change in the lifestyle of the owner. Perceptible means noticeable. We can change. We see some people, suddenly they change their style, their approach, their language and everything. Noticeable change, perceptible change. We can see, we can feel. So it is called perceptible change in the lifestyle of the owner because, however, income increased, lifestyle, the way of life was changed. The plantation expanded, even increased, the plantation expanded. But the owner became lethargic and shied away from hard work. Actually, who is working here? Not this owner. That gardener is working. Because then he became lazy. Lethargic means lazy. Here he became lazy because without any effort, without any work, here he was getting income and he is enjoying his life. There was a perceptible change in the lifestyle of the owner, lethargic, and shied away, moved away. Shied away means neglected hard work. He became lazy, lethargic, so moved away or neglected hard work. He forgot. Okay, what about his family? His wife found all this strange. Her husband used to work on the farm, but now, because of the arrival of this gardener, the wife, that owner, was not working. So his wife, owner's wife, found all this very strange, surprised, because on one hand, income is increasing, plantation expanded. What about the reality? Her husband lost the quality of working, shied away from work, started to lead a luxurious life. So actually it is a loss, not the gain. She found it is hard to decide whether the old man's arrival was for the better or worse. She was in confusion. How come? It means, so whether the old man arrived, started to work, income increased, plantation expanded. Okay, it is the happiest thing. But what about her husband? What about her husband? Her. That is very important. We struggle very hard to get that happiness. We never bother about all the bungalows, buildings, acres of land, all these things. We think about happiness. Happiness. So here, there is absence. So, old man's arrival was for better or for the worse? Her husband's wealth, social prestige, her enhanced. As he got income, more income, lifestyle changed. As his lifestyle changed, many people became friends, so social prestige increased, wealth increased. So what is the use by losing his own, the way of life, his own entity? He had number of friends in the next town as well as in his own village because of his wealth. See the change which was occurred in the life of the owner, and the condition of the wife, and the work done by this gardener. And then, even though he had precious little to do, his life became crowded with colorful events. She became apprehensive about his adultery and umpteen other vices cultivated lately, thanks to his newly acquired clout. Their farm, which was merely 10 acres, had grown beyond their imagination. That was fine. Of course, that was fine. See this line, my dear students, that was fine. But their life also was gradually getting out of hand. Their life was getting out of hand. What is the use of taking this money and all these things, property, land, all this expansion, waste, useless, since we don't have the proper way of life and there is no happiness. So here, even though he had precious, means he has to do many more things, but his life crowded with colorful events. See here, his thinking changed, his approach changed, his way of life changed, his attitude changed. Attitude makes everything, my dear students. So here, she became apprehensive, feared. Apprehensive means feared. So fearsome. She feared about his adultery and umpteen. Adultery means some unwanted, bad habits which was cultivated in his adulthood. Adultery and umpteen many. Here, many other vices. Many other vices. Her vice, its opposite word is virtue. Means bad qualities. Many other bad qualities. He was very good. Of course, arrival of gardener on one hand, it is very good. Income increased. Plantation extended. So her 10 acres land had grown beyond their imagination. Of course, one thing, but what about the owner? Sheed away from hard work, became lethargic, and inculcated adultery and umpteen other vices cultivated lately, not from his youthhood or boyhood. Lately here, recently past, just recently past. Thanks to his newly acquired clout, this old man, gardener, their farm, which was merely 10 acres, increased like 10 acres, had grown beyond their imagination. That was fine. Of course, this line, that we have to think on this line. Everything is right. Everything is okay. We may accept. But their life was also gradually getting out of hand. Their life was getting out of hand means there was no meaning. There was no happiness in their life. Life was getting out of hand. See, and she was in a fix like this. One day, the old man met her and behaved as though he knew all about her plight. He smiled at her and brought down an offering of tender coconuts from a nearby tree. He sat on the embankment. Wall constructed around the well. Embankment of the wall. And she had no alternative, and she sat next to him. The sun was slipping away into the western horizon. His rays were reaching the walls of the well. Though through the foliage of coconut, mango and jackfruit trees. See her, and she was in a fix like this. She was thinking like this. What is the use? We are getting income, but their personal life, their private life, what about that one? She was thinking in this way. One day old man met her and his approach towards that lady as he knew all about her plight. Plight in the sense condition or situation. He spoke with her very friendly, very that in a familiar manner, and as he knew all about her condition, he smiled at her and offered her a tender coconut, gave her tender coconut to drink. From nearby tree, he sat on the embankment of the well, and he was sitting on the wall constructed around the well. He was sitting, and that well was covered with some trees. See the explanation by this P. Lankesh. She had no alternative. She sat next to him. She had no alternative. There was no other choice. She sat with him, next to him. The sun was slipping away into western horizon. It means it was the evening time. His rays were reaching the walls. Walls of what? Walls of that well. Crossing through the, it means crossing the leaves of coconut foliage, means thick leaves of coconut, mango and jackfruit trees. Hence he was thinking like that. Suddenly that old man came, gardener came, and he spoke with that lady in a familiar that approach, and gave her a tender coconut, and sat on the embankment of the well. There was no alternative. She too sat next to him, and it was evening time. Sun's rays were reaching the walls of the well through the rich coconut trees. It's the leaves of coconut, mango and jackfruit trees. And further, next what happens? Here the discussion starts between. The old man began his narrative. Then discussion started, or his narration started. He started to convey to that lady. Okay, what he conveys and what he says, we'll read in our next class. Thank you. Have a good day.